You are listening to the Manument Podcast. My name is Casey, and I'm here with my buddy Glenn Johnson, investment advisor and founder of Jabez Financial right here in the Uncasville area. All right, Glenn, let's get into it today, and I want to talk a little business to start out because fast food chain Wendy's has hit a bit of a rough patch. Their earnings are down, market share is slipping, and their stock has taken a hit. So now they're rolling out a new chicken sandwich, hoping that that is going to turn things around for them. Now, I was reading this and thinking that that's a lot riding on one single menu item. But thinking about this story as I came across it, Glenn, from a retirement perspective, don't you see a very similar mindset with some people as they are nearing that retirement goal line? They look at their savings, maybe they feel a little behind, and then suddenly they're taking on more risk in the market, hoping for a last minute win to kind of close that gap for them right before retirement. So I'm wondering, have you seen that happen, Glenn? And more importantly, does that strategy ever actually work for people, or does it usually backfire? What are your thoughts here?
Well, you know, Wendy's, let's start with Wendy's, for example, because they've got a great story. Mm-hmm. See, I remember going to listen to Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's, speak. I went to go listen to him speak at Hershey Stadium in Pennsylvania when I was in my 20s. Mm-hmm. And his story was so impactful to me because I remember that he was adopted when he was an infant. Mm-hmm. And his adopted mother died when he was 5. Mm. And then later on, he dropped out of school when he was 15 so he could go to work. Oh, wow. And he worked hard. He worked diligently, and he became extraordinarily successful. And throughout his life, he had a love for children. And he knew that his example mattered, so that even though he became exceptionally successful in life without any formal education, because of his example, now, like I said, he's the outlier. This is the exception of the rule, and he knew it. And that's why he decided to go back and get his GED when he was in his 60s.
Well, that's a pretty incredible story. I don't think I knew about Dave Thomas, but I don't think I knew all those details. So if Dave was the outlier, like you said, what do you think that tells us about trying to bank on, one big win, so to say, whether that's in business or whether that's in our retirement?
Right. So the one big win, that silver bullet that people are looking for, it's really a matter of, I like to look at it this way. When businesses, businesses don't fail or succeed, people do, right? So recognizing that we are our own life's project, we want to figure out what we need to do to get ourselves better, and that is the ultimate key to succeeding through any kind of adversity. Now, Dave, for example, he's been gone for like 24 years now, but it was through his vision and leadership, which is what led Wendy's to become a Fortune 500 company. Mm-hmm. But now Wendy's has been struggling to find someone who has a vision that can lead the company to get it back on track. So until then, just like people will try to find that special financial product, until then, they may be trying new products like a new chicken sandwich, for example. And the fact is, all things rise and fall on leadership. It's not about the chicken sandwich. It's really about the leadership.
I like looking at it that way, Glenn, because it's almost like the sandwich is this shiny object saying, hey, look over here. So thinking about this from a retirement perspective, like we are, when it comes to retirement planning, Glenn, what do you think the quote unquote chicken sandwich people get tempted by is in retirement? Are there retirement shiny objects out there?
They're all over the place. They're all over the place. And so when I meet with clients that are walking into retirement for the first time, and maybe they feel like they've been falling behind, or maybe they're unsure if what they have will be enough, they really can be vulnerable at that point to someone selling them that silver bullet investment that will solve all their financial problems, solve all their concerns. And I've seen them at the end, taking on investments sometimes that are way outside their risk ability, or they'll invest in products that are loaded with high fees. Now, just like Wendy's doesn't need the chicken sandwich to turn the company around, although it may help, I hope it does. People don't need to find that one perfect investment that will solve all their financial concerns either.
I'm wondering if you could give us a couple real world examples of what that looks like, the kinds of moves that people make when they're trying to catch up really fast, but maybe could end up throwing them off course.
Well, for example, one thing that that's heavily marketed these days are REITs, or real estate investment trusts, because they'll say, okay, you can get a consistent 9%, 13% return year after year. And you just look at that and say, wow, here's something I can get into. And these rates of return are fantastic. Mm-hmm. But then try to sell it, try to get your money back. And sometimes the net asset value of those REITs can plummet. And now they're stuck. Or sometimes clients will want to lend money to their adult children for real estate investments. I've seen that a bunch of times. And they'll say, well, you know what, if I help my son out with this or my son-in-law out with that investment, he's assured me that this is a guaranteed win. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it collapse, and they're left holding the bag afterward. Or when it comes to high fees, you'll find sometimes somebody will say, well, I've got this fantastic variable annuity, and it's got all these bells and whistles. And then we look at it and say, well, how much is your account actually growing? And how much are you really paying in this thing? And so whether people are locking up their money, or they're assuming way too much risk, or they end up paying way too many fees because they think they've got this one financial product that's going to work. And it just doesn't always cut it.
I think hearing all those real world examples, Glenn, is so helpful for people. And they all kind of have that same theme. It's chasing that big fix. So if that's not the answer, I'm wondering what's the better framework here. If it's not a silver bullet, like one of these examples you just gave us, what is the long-term approach?
Right. Well, financially succeeding throughout retirement goes beyond getting lucky and picking that one stock that does fantastically well for a few great years. We've got to take a long-term approach. It's a long-term approach that's needed, and that requires specialized knowledge and experience, which is what I bring to the table for my clients. Mm-hmm. See, you know what you have, you know how you want to live, and I can help you responsibly make the most out of your retirement by maximizing your cash flow with confidence that you know you're not going to run out of money, and you can make sure that your remaining estate gets distributed as you see fit.
So when somebody comes in to see you for the first time, Glenn, and they're like, hey, I feel very behind, they're panicking a little bit, what do you typically talk with them about first? What do you typically evaluate in their plan first? Where do you start?
Well, really have to pull it apart piece by piece. Whatever financial concerns they have, there's a reason why they have the concerns. You can't just say, oh, don't worry about it. You've got nothing to worry about. Mm-hmm. If somebody has those concerns, that's like a check engine light. You don't necessarily know what's wrong with your car, but you know something is wrong. So if you have that financial concern, you really have an inappropriate mix of assets. You're not properly allocated. Something isn't right. Maybe you can't put your finger on what exactly it is, but you know something's not right. Now, in some cases, and this is far more rare, sometimes you really do have what's best for you. You really are well allocated, but you just don't have the education to understand why what you have is correct and suitable. So it's either, which is usually, having the wrong mix of financial assets, but sometimes it's a lack of understanding what they are and how they work. Mm-hmm. So I like to break that down to find out, we'll start with what it is that you have and find out, first of all, is it suitable? Does it make sense? And once we're able to conclude that, okay, some adjustments need to be made here, and here's why, the types of assets and holdings that you'll have after we go through this, you can rest assured that you will understand how they work, have realistic expectations, and you'll know for sure that what you have is suitable and appropriate, and you'll have a plan that'll work.
Well, I was going to ask you, do you finally see that relief in people once you get that real plan down on paper and you work through it? Is there a relief that you can physically see in people?
Yeah, I was just going to say that you can visibly see it. Their shoulders will drop and they'll have a sigh of relief, and you can just see an overall peace come across their face saying, you know what, I finally get it. Mm-hmm. People have been working their whole lives. They've been tucking money away month after month, year after year. So they're very heavily invested. People have traded the best hours of their best days, of the best portion of their lives to accumulate these funds walking into retirement. And to sit down with somebody and have them say, oh, here's your money, do this with it. It's just not enough. We've got to have a little bit more compassion for these dollars that people have accumulated, whether it's $10,000 or $10 million. We want to respect it. And that's why I want to take the time to get to know my clients personally, so that when we put together a plan, we can freely talk about it. And that way they're not just comfortable on the day they establish their accounts, but they can feel comfortable going forward knowing this is a relationship that I can keep. And as life changes, we'll be able to make the necessary adjustments along the way and still feel good about things. I'd like you to experience what it's like to have a conversation with me. So I invite you to give us a call at 860-288-9977 and schedule a time to come in for a conversation. I'd love to get to know you, hear your story, and we'll find out how I can help so that you can look forward to your future with tremendous peace and enthusiasm.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Manument Podcast. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts so that you never miss an episode, and we will see you next time. Take care.
Investment advisory services offered through Jabez Financial, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities, offered through Glenn Johnson, Connecticut Insurance, license number 4628409. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Jabez Financial, LLC. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties. Jabez Financial, LLC is not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Jabez Financial, LLC is licensed in your state, please call 860-390-0093.